transport officers, so you didn't have all those extra people there. You just had what you call your basic correctional
The number
shift.
of people who keep eyes on the fence to make sure that this doesn't happen, was that number reduced in your view?
No, that number's not reduced because, I mean, it's pretty much set up where, you know, you're locked down in the facility and then you have these outer perimeter fences. And, you know, we have cameras, we have, you know, sensors, different things like that to let us know. And at one time, we had dogs out in that area. So if somebody did make their way out there, then they had to deal with the canine.
So you say you have cameras and sensors. Did that not work in this situation?
At that time, the sensors were not, and I'm not sure, like I said, this is all still under investigation.
Okay, so they were or they weren't?
I'm not, no.
Lord Jesus, we gotta help him, man. Tangipahoa. I cannot believe the first time I heard that pronounced, I've been saying it right ever since. Because if you look at it, it just makes sense, man. Louisiana. I'm grateful for this video, man. I have 2 videos in the cut from Tennessee, man. Tennessee Accountability, I need you to holler at me, man. They down there acting. It's the same little, you know what I mean, circumference, the same area, man. But yeah, I got 2. I just did one. They down there mass locking people up for driving sober. Can't make this up. I put the link right up there in the right-hand corner. And then I'm working on another Reba audit. Shout out to you. She had to get a line tyrant, lonely cop in line down there. And in the midst of that, I take a break because it, you know, requires some work. And, you know, now I don't even like to watch YouTube because I'm going to see something like I did here that makes me want to share my opinion. So I'm just taking a break and trying to find something to watch. And I stumbled upon another Tennessee video. Okay, well, that's going to take a little bit of work. We're going to put that in the chamber. And now I'm working and I see this right here, man. I'm sorry, man. I don't know whether this is, you know, the most friendly and kind and just hospitable, you know, engaging police chief that you ever want to meet. He's from the South. Or if he's just the most fumbling, bumbling, perfect for a role in police academy chief that you ever want to meet. I don't know, but we got to figure it out, man. Don't want to talk too much because I do want y'all to watch this video from start to finish. So we're going to get right into it, guys. Welcome to the South, Louisiana. Y'all owe us some crawfish for this, man.
Yesterday at approximately 3:30, 3:45, our warden was contacted by a family member advising that 2 individuals had in fact escaped from our jail, from custody, and that they had went to a relative's house in the middle of the night trying to find a place to stay. At that time, jail admin, along with myself, CID, narcotics, responded to the jail where we started conducting an investigation to determine what had taken place and who was missing. And upon that investigation, we determined there was a total of 4 that had escaped custody. And we started our investigation into how they were able to escape and if anyone assisted or facilitated them into leaving the area. And we've just been running those leads down, going back and just reviewing, you know, telephone calls, reviewing cameras, different things like that to try to get an idea of exactly who went at what time and the route, how they made it out of the correctional facility. During that investigation today, we have apprehended 2 of the suspects, 2 of the escapees down in Hammond at the intersection of Old Baton Rouge Highway and Pumpkin Center Road. We'd received a phone call that these 2 individuals, or 2 individuals meeting their description, were in the area. At that time, Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's deputies, along with Hammond Police and K-9, responded to the area and set up a wide perimeter. We were able to take a drone in to get a close-up. We were able to locate them as Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office deputies and police officers moved in on them. They hid in a dumpster there next to a store at that intersection, and they were apprehended. Those two are back in custody. However, we're still looking for the other two. We feel that they're no longer in Tangipahoa Parish, but like I said, it's still an ongoing investigation. Anyone that assisted, helped them in any way leave the area will be charged. Any other inmate in our facility that assisted them with their escape will also be charged.
Did all 4 inmates escape at one time?
No, we believe two left out Saturday afternoon, and the other 2 was determined. When we responded, then we were able to realize the other 2 had gone. We were able to take and review some security video from the 911 office, which is located next door, that shows the route of escape.
When did the second duo escape?
We think they escaped well, we got one of them on video yesterday afternoon, just before the warden got the phone call that we had escapees. We got video of one exiting the yard.
Okay, so I just want to be super clear here. There was an initial escape yesterday afternoon. You were tipped off, and then subsequently.
Well, the first escape happened Saturday. It happened Saturday. Apparently, they made their way. They hid, and then after dark, they went out under a wall, and then they were able to scale 2 fences and get away. And yesterday we had the same thing happen before we were able to get to the jail, pinpoint their avenue of escape, and get everything shut down.
What level of concern does it raise with you that it required a member of the public to reach out to the sheriff's office about an escape and your own jail personnel didn't even know?
It's very concerning. If the proper head counts had been conducted, we would have knew about it immediately. And it goes back to the supervision of inmates. There were several issues that facilitated this escape. One was lack of correctional supervision, supervising the inmates when they were on the yard. Second, the wire on the yard is weakened through corrosion, and they were able to break some wire open on a chain link and was able to create a small gap. Once they got through that gap, they were able to go down this wall, and then at the end of the wall, there's another gap that's about 8 inches. You wouldn't think 8 inches is a lot, but a 150-pound human being can get under it. They were able to slide under that. They waited till after dark to do that, and then they were able to go over the one razor wire fence and then go over the second razor wire fence. Ultimately, the responsibility falls upon the sheriff's office for not we're short-staffed, and it's no excuse. We're short-staffed, and we just the experience and the training, and such a big turnover to jail, and it's a failure. We had a failure within that we hope to correct, learn by our mistakes, and move forward. Also, we have like I said, we had a defect in a security barrier. We had another gap that should have been corrected, and then we need more razor wire. If there was their area for the final fence they were able to get over is lacking the amount of razor wire it should have. We have started the process of getting that corrected immediately, and if I have to go up there this afternoon or tomorrow and start stringing razor wire, I will be happy to do so to ensure that we don't have this situation again.
Is the sheriff instituting any discipline for the corrections officers?
We're still looking into it and investigating. And sometimes it's kind of hard to get in and start disciplining someone that hasn't been properly trained and doesn't have the experience. And it's just not making any excuses, but being transparent as to how this escape, happened. And it's just like I said, it was between not properly watching, counting, and structural issues, they were able to facilitate their escape.
You talked about the wall, and then you talked about the eroded fence, and you obviously mentioned razor wire just now. Does
Right.
the sheriff have plans to repair those weak links in the system here?
Yeah, we're constantly repairing wire and things like that every day up to jail. We're going to fix that, but it wasn't just, if the wall wouldn't have had the gap in it, you wouldn't have had to get over the wall or under the wall. If the fence wouldn't have had the corrosion where they were able to take and physically break the wire and work it loose, you wouldn't have been able to get to the wall to go under it. So there were several, and then once you got under the wall, there was an interior fence that with razor wire that they were able to go over. And then the exterior fence, it has razor wire, but it needs several more rows of razor wire to get it where it needs to be. And like I said, that will be corrected in the next day or so.
Can you tell us which two, because I think you all released the names,
The
ones that are still at large?
ones that's at large is Cyprian and Hookfin.
Okay.
Were they at all armed, the two that you guys found in the dumpster, and is there any reason to believe that the two still at large are armed and dangerous?
Any escapee can be considered dangerous and possibly could arm, but no, the two that was arrested earlier, without incident, they gave up. They were not armed.
You talked about separate escapes. Do you know specifically which inmates escaped first and which inmates escaped later?
The first inmates would have been the two that's in custody now. Would have been Guidry and Johnson.
And they escaped on that Saturday?
They escaped Saturday. And, going back through and all, apparently the other inmates were aware that they escaped and how. And so the first one. But to go back and look at, you have to be a 150-pound person or smaller to be able to get through that 8-inch gap. A normal size, a large individual or large male or whatever is not going to be able to slide under there. You have to be pretty thin to be able to get under that wall.
So to be clear, everybody used the same route?
Correct.
Did Cyprian and Hookfin escape at the same time, or did one go first and then the other?
That's still all under investigation, exactly, which one at what time.
We've all spoken with neighbors who have said that escapes relatively frequent. They live right across the way, they get the notification. I guess what would you need, or what would the sheriff's office need to harden down fencing or the infrastructure, or what do you need to, I guess, keep this from happening again?
We just need to constantly monitor our security barriers and making sure that they're staying, maintenance is done, any kind of corrective action is taken, extra razor wire, just such things as that. And then, our correctional officers being alert, paying attention, being on top of things. I think sometimes in our jobs we become complacent until something like this happens. And in law enforcement, there's no time for complacency because it's ever changing. And one little thing that you think it's a routine, it turns out it's no longer routine, and bad things happen.
And were they wearing uniform or in cuffs when you guys found them?
I don't have that information as far as what they were wearing at the time.
That initial call you received about two individuals had escaped, they went to a relative's house overnight. Who did that call come from? Was it a relative?
It was
One of
concerned citizen. It was someone
Okay.
that was aware of what was going on.
Okay, and then, I don't know if this will be helpful or not, but one neighbor I spoke with said it seems like the escapes happen on the weekends. And obviously, even in our business, we have a limited amount of staff on the weekend.
Right.
So I just wanted to offer that information.
Right. Well, and it's like with any type of business or whatever, during the week, your staff is doubled, sometimes tripled, because you have court personnel there at the jail, you have pretrial, you have your clerks, your admin, and all those people there at the jail. transport officers and such as that. So, during Monday through Friday, during the operating hours, the same way with this substation. You hear today on a holiday and it's only 1 or 2 in this building. But Monday through Fridays, at any given time, there's 20 to 30 people in here working.
So to be clear, was the number of correctional officers, the people responsible for keeping them in the jail, was that number reduced over the weekend as compared to Monday through Friday?
Well, you have 2 different types. You have what you call your shift employees that are assigned to your pods and stuff. And then you have your other employees that come in and do investigations, pre-class, transport officers. So you didn't have all those extra people there. You just had what you call your basic correctional
The number
shift.
of people who keep eyes on the fence to make sure that this doesn't happen, was that number reduced in your view?
No, that number's not reduced because, it's pretty much set up where, you're locked down in the facility and then you have these outer perimeter fences. And, we have cameras, we have, sensors, different things like that to let us know. And at one time, we had dogs out in that area. So if somebody did make their way out there, then they had to deal with the canine.
So you say you have cameras and sensors, did that not work in this situation?
At that time, the sensors were not, and I'm not sure, like I said, this is all still under investigation.
Okay, so they were or they weren't?
No, we didn't get any alerts that they were out in the yard. Right.
Do you believe Johnson and Guidry had help getting from the jail to the dumpster?
I think, looking at, where they were initially in the jail and where they went, I think they basically fled on foot. Now, because where they initially, they were at the jail, and then they escaped, and approximately 6 hours later, they were at an area 15 miles away from the jail. Well, you can walk that easily, in 5 hours. You can walk 15 miles. And then the same way with where they were at Saturday night versus where they were caught this morning. It's still something that, if you're escaped, you can walk that. We're still investigating, and of course, if someone did facilitate, them getting where they were going, they will be charged also.
And what are you guys doing to find the other 2 today?
We have our narcotics division and our detective division is out. Said, they working intel, interviewing people, just our regular investigative, fugitive apprehension. We're doing it. We're trying to locate them. We don't feel like we think that possibly they're no longer in the parish. We will say that. But it's just far as pinpointing the exact location and take them into custody, it may take a little bit more time.
Chief, for anybody who assists these escapees, will they be charged with a felony?
I'd have to go back and look at the statute to see in what way that they assisted. It'd be a principle. Well, if you initially took them away, it'd be principle to escape, and then, depends on to what degree or how they help them as to, what we're going to be able to charge them with, and we're going to charge them with the most we can.
We gotta help them, Lord. Lord, we gotta help them, man. Trailhand Bill, live from South Florida. I'm watching ducks today, y'all, man. Which surprises you more? The fact that all of Tangipahoa's law enforcement personnel were so far away that while they were headed to the jail to check on 2 escapees, 2 more had time to escape? Or the fact that Chief Travis's first act when he stepped on that podium was to tell escaped murderers in the entire world exactly who turned them in? That's wild, bro. I want you to know something. You got 4 men, 3 accused of 1 homicide. I think it was back in 2022. Don't quote me on that. And 1 accused of armed robbery, right? 2 of the guys who are accused of armed robbery have been apprehended. And then you still got 2 on the loose. Obviously, that's one of the men still accused of homicide and the other man who's accused of the armed robbery. Now, I'm American through and through. So I 1000% believe innocent until proven guilty. And I've heard more than enough heartbreaking stories to convince me I should. Florida parishes. Have y'all ever heard of that? I've never in my life until this story have heard of Florida parishes. But Tangipahoa Parish, Louisiana, was once a part of Florida parishes in West Florida. I need to, do more geographical research. I should have paid attention in social studies class. It wasn't one of my favorite subjects. I've never heard of that, man. I didn't even know that Florida and Louisiana were that close, that, they could, share land once upon a time. And Tangipahoa also is fondly called the crossroads of the South. Yeah, I ain't gonna go into a whole lot of detail, but they used to help, surrounding areas get to some money. So, they look out for them and give them that. Hey, man, good looking out, man. I'm thinking small town guys. I'm gonna try to give them a little bit of out here, man. Monotony can be a beast. Monotony can be a piranha. They probably do the same thing every day, same routine, no matter what job you're at. If you're in school, not a lot going on in small towns. Country Georgia boy, keep telling y'all I'm from one, and I think that has a lot to do with what happened here. I think monotony got a hold to him, and it could have ended much worse than this. And because 2 people are still on the loose, not convicted of any crimes that I know of, but because we don't know their state, they definitely guilty of escape, and we don't know their state. I hope it doesn't turn out worse than it is. Chief Travis, sir, you ran for sheriff in 2022. I guess we can say you lost that. I kept saying, this had to be his first day on the job. I mean, the way he fumbled through this video, man, and I already narrated audio for this case to profile this, but I didn't like it, so I'm re-recording. But in the interim, I was able to research this man, and little details about him. He started in parole and probation. He was an investigator with the Attorney General's office up there, working on elderly abuse cases. He's been around that department in Tangipahoa for about 30 years, man. You know what I mean? He's been around the industry for a little bit longer. He started a street task force. This is going to come up later, very interesting, with the current sheriff, probably the one he lost to, and he's married to a teacher. But this is the one right here. 18 years up there in Tangipahoa as a full-time accreditation manager, developing policies and procedures that increase departmental performance, improve functioning, and maintain national accreditation standards. Yeah, I stumbled over that damn word. Bro, you knew all those hoes were sneaking into security at the jail, and you didn't give them an accreditation checklist to get up to par, sir? Or you just don't take your skills from one job to the next? I'm trying to figure out, because if you the guy that says, okay, this is specifically good to go for this, and you spent 18 years doing that, then shouldn't the security at your jail be specifically good to go? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. I just found that very interesting, man, that you're the guy that gives the okay to good to go, and you absolutely failed here. But I can't give you the newbie excuse, big dog. I couldn't give it to you anyway because you're a chief. You're out here running for sheriff. And even when you ran for sheriff, you said some of the same things that you said in this press conference. You said there's a need to train well. There's a need to reduce turnover. There's a need to improve security measures. So you said that 2 years ago when you ran for sheriff, sir. And in this interview, you detailed several times how you knew that this facility was failing, and you being the guy that checks off on things and gives them improve. I just found it very funny that you made it to this level and still was surrounded by that amount of failure that could not be accredited. And even minus those 18 years, just being in the position that you are now as chief should come with more common sense than a lot of stuff you're doing, big dog. And we just met. Anyway, if you look him up, you might walk away with the same impression I did, man. He's basically a paper pusher who thinks, all of the answers to law enforcement responsibilities is surprise, lock people up. Let's talk about this trip, bro. How far do you live from the jail that it took you the next day to check on 2 escapees? Or was it that your staff was so incompetent that they didn't know the procedures for responding to escapes? Which I'm not a guard, and I know that. I think most of us do. We've seen enough movies. Lockdown, emergency count. I mean, which they clearly don't care to or know how to count, since a concerned citizen had to tell you you lost some of your visitors. So how long is the trip, big dog? Is it an hour, a few hours, 10 hours, more? It was long enough for 2 more accused inmates to decide whether they wanted to go out for a stroll or not. We know that much, man. I said inmates, man, but I also mentioned that these were accused killers. 3 men accused of 1 homicide. Accused, I'm American, guys. Innocent until proven guilty. Being arrested, even being convicted, does not mean that you're guilty, man. Like I say, we've seen the stories. We know this, man. But they still are accused. So until things bear out in our justice system, we can't say they're innocent either, right? Unless they have proof that they are. So, sir, knowing this, the first thing that you do after you spend the entire press conference making sure not to tell us that these were accused killers and an armed robber, the first thing you do on that podium, man, was to tell them exactly who turned them in. Fast forward, you knew you messed up. That's why when the reporter brought it up later, she said, well, who was this person? Was it a family member? And then you forgot. I mean, well, you forgot or you remember, but you already told us who it was. You already told the killers in the entire world who it was, whether accused killers. But then you switched it up and said, well, it was a concerned citizen, sir. That doesn't fly. You want to think of the implications of that? The life or lives his inexperienced loose lips just put in danger. 30 plus years of inexperience around his profession, and you didn't have enough sense to say, hey man, it's still under investigation, we can't give any details. The one time when you should have used that lame excuse, you did the exact opposite thing in the worst way. While you still have one of these accused killers out here, and you told them exactly who turned them in. And you don't even know what type of loved ones they got out there and friends they got out there that might feel a way about that. But you didn't mind getting on the stage and telling the entire world that, sir. You can't that away. Then again, y'all endanger citizens for fun. So that concerned family, citizen member is just one more for you, right? The reporters even knew that the security failures existed because neighbors had been complaining about escapes, sir. So y'all just, like, we run the Walmart down here. Y'all just, bypass escapees on a daily basis, I guess, man. Y'all knew this ship had holes in it, man, because you sat on that podium and you detailed every one of them like you've been studying them to get into heaven, homie. You broke that. So I feel like maybe you went up there and put some of them holes in them fences so you could talk about it and make it look less irresponsible than it obviously is, man. You know what I mean? But this is what happens, man, when tax dollars are diverted from where they need to be. They'll spend money creating street teams. Remember I said we was going to talk about that? He created a street team. They'll spend more money creating street teams to lock people up, but won't buy batteries for the motion sensors or razor wire for his fences to keep them secure. But all of a sudden, he's ready for corrective action, so much so that if he has to go up there and put the razor wire up himself, he'll do it. Man, shut your ass up. Raise your hands if you believe that. And where was all of this goodwill initiative when he let accused offenders have an open door policy at his local, air quotes, secure facility? I'm starting to wonder who was getting paid to look the other way up there, big dog. Keep it real with you. Bro, you don't know if the escapees are dangerous or not. The lady asked you that, you stuttered. You don't know what's going on with the investigation besides the fact that the drug unit is involved, because every time somebody asks you a question, that's all you can say, the drug unit is involved. You don't know if the sprinklers have batteries, and you don't know how much Winn-Dixie sell razors wire for, by the sticky things on them. I guess that's what you think they measure them by. What do you guys think, man? This a local good old boy in over his head, or a paper pusher who don't know what the heck going on, man? One thing about him for sure, boy, he gonna let us know he ain't making no excuses right before he make excuses. Every time, man. Tangipahoa, y'all be safe up there, man. I'm very concerned about, y'all law enforcement personnel. It doesn't seem like in or out of the jail, they're very concerned for the citizens. He talked about this like it was a non-issue the whole time. Doesn't seem like a non-issue to me. I hope they would get on top of this. And Chief Travis, sir, in my opinion, you embarrass yourself. You embarrass every department affiliated with you. I don't know why you were speaking instead of the sheriff. Hopefully we can get some updates on that. And, I hope these guys do get their fair shot at justice in our judicial process. But unfortunately, because they are incarcerated, it has to be done the right way. And escaping is not it. You just make people more scared. You put yourselves in danger. And for us, I think something we can take away from this, man, it's no joke to me how that family member. So you can't take it back now. If you read the print media reports about this, they're highlighting the fact that a family member turned them in. He put their lives in such a precarious situation. It's crazy, man. So I'm not telling you don't be anxious or eager to help police, especially in a situation like this. But you have to measure it, man. Because he fumbled through a press conference. He released the information ASAP. They let the prisoners escape while they were en route to check on those two more escaped in and out of the jail. They're just surrounded by incompetence, and you never know when you're dealing with these type of cops. So you done gave them the information on the wrong person, and then what are you gonna do? You have family, you have friends. So it's a very sensitive situation. I don't have the answer for how you should handle it should you ever find yourself in that situation, but just consider all circumstances. And I think this gives you a bird's eye view on one possibility that you definitely need to be thinking through when you think through doing business with police about whatever, man. Trailhand Bill, live from South Florida. Did I tell y'all I'm looking at ducks today?
Detective division is out. Said, they working intel, interviewing people, just our regular investigative, fugitive apprehension, we're doing it.
Thank you if you made it this far. If you liked the video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it. If you care to go a little further than that, maybe even subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check out a few of the other videos on the channel. Either way, y'all be safe.
Yesterday at approximately 3:30, 3:45, our warden was contacted by a family member advising that two individuals had in fact escaped from our jail, from custody.
So to be clear, was the number of correctional officers, the people responsible for keeping them in the jail, was that number reduced over the weekend as compared to Monday through Friday?
Well, you have two different types. You have what you call your shift employees that are assigned to your pods and stuff. And then you have your other employees that come in and do investigations, pre-class, transport officers. So you didn't have all those extra people there. You just had what you call your basic correctional
The number
shift.
of people who keep eyes on the fence to make sure that this doesn't happen, was that number reduced in your view?
No, that number's not reduced because, it's pretty much set up where, you're locked down in the facility and then you have these outer perimeter fences. And, we have cameras, we have, sensors, different things like that to let us know. And at one time, we had dogs out in that area. So if somebody did make their way out there, then they had to deal with the canine.
So you say you have cameras and sensors. Did that not work in this situation?
At that time, the sensors were not, and I'm not sure, like I said, this is all still under investigation.
That's what you should have said when you put them people's lives at risk.